Welcome back to This Week in the Pentagon. Part of the international approach to success in Afghanistan is training and developing competent Afghan national security forces. It's the role of NATO training mission Afghanistan, and it's a role that's been criticized, especially when it comes to the Afghan National Police. According to the Director of Communications for National Training Mission Afghanistan, up until recently, it was criticism that was justified. It's a challenging mission: train a largely illiterate force and make them effective police officers and soldiers. But Colonel Gregory Breazile says Afghans, especially the younger generation, want a change in their country.
They're tired of the war, they're tired of the conflict.
The NATO force leading the training mission is up to the challenge too, but they're facing criticism about the quality of the Afghan troops.
I think prior to the troop surge, we didn't have enough troops on the ground to actually train properly. And so, yeah, it was a fair criticism. We were putting out numbers, not quality soldiers.
Because of the language and literacy challenges, training Afghan forces requires a more hands-on approach. This was difficult to accomplish, says Colonel Breazile, until recently. Now that more troops are deploying to Afghanistan, thanks to the 30,000 additional forces President Obama authorized, the training dynamic is changing.
It has brought the quality up. We now see more soldiers or more recruits qualifying on their weapons quicker. They understand it. They're getting that attention they need, the coaching they need, just like our troops do.
Most of the criticism about Afghan national security forces is directed toward the Afghan National Police. Respect for the ANP is low among the Afghan population. Corruption is high, and official estimates show only about a quarter of them have received formal training. Colonel Breazile says this is largely due to the ANP training model.
We had a model where we would hire police on, they would go on the job, and then they would wait to go as an entire district to training. That waiting process was really counter to what we wanted to do, because we had police on the streets that didn't know what they were supposed to do. And that introduced all kinds of problems across Afghanistan.
The training model has now changed. A few weeks ago, the Minister of the Interior in Afghanistan established a new recruiting command for the ANP, one that's like the Afghan National Army's. Police recruits will go directly to training after signing up.
Those recruits will get their basic training, come out as basically trained police officers, and then they'll be fielded to go out and work on the job and further develop their skills.
Salim Samim, an Afghan cultural analyst working for the Marine Corps, says training will only partially solve the issue of police respect among Afghans. He says mistrust exists partly because of the dual role the Afghan police currently fill.
In the United States, we have police force here. They're not fighting a war, they're enforcing the law and policing communities. But in Afghanistan, unfortunately, the police force itself, they're fighting a war. At the same time, they're trying to enforce the law, which somehow, doing these two things at the same time may not be practical and possible. But once they are involved more in the community in terms of enforcing the law, engaging with the community, and establishing the rule of the law, that's going to enable them to somehow interact more with the people, and that's going to enable them to win the trust of the people.
Salim also explained that in Afghanistan there are often two different laws in play in a region: the informal law and the law of the land. Right now, informal law often takes precedence. The law of the land is what the police are tasked with enforcing. Change will happen, he says, but it won't happen overnight.
It's going to take a while. Things are changing nowadays, and hopefully it's going to be changing toward the positive.
Colonel Breazile says there are indications of positive change. Recruiting was good throughout the winter months, and he says the ANP and ANA are becoming more professional with each class that graduates. And he says now that NATO training mission Afghanistan is getting the resources it needs, he feels positive impact can be even greater.